Yes, yes, team. Welcome to another episode of the Total Mental Performance Podcast. Today is a really wholesome episode because I'm pulling in one of my proteges. So I work with young people that I spot something in them. Young entrepreneurs that know they have another league and they know they have another level. And I help them out on the economics of the investment of coaching. And I basically just say to them, look, pay what you can afford. It has to be a stretch for you, but at the same time, it's not going to bankrupt you and you figure it out. And I do this because I've had so many people help me when I was a young person, when I had no contacts, no mentors, no experience, and people in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s would just give me their time. And they would challenge me, and they would guide me, and they would just help me grow to become the man, the coach, the leader, the mentor that I am today. And I always try and pass that on back because there's a great phrase which is, great societies are built when men plant trees whose shade they'll never sit in. And that's a big reason why I do my work that I do with young people. And also the mentors that pass that on to me, I pass it on. And I know that our next guest is going to pass it on. So today we have Ciaran O'Connor. He is the founder of a brand called Soul Food. So they're a specialist in protein overnight oats, and they really are taking the Irish oat scene by storm. And on top of that, he also owns a cafe. He employs 12 staff, 12 or 13?
13.
13. And he's only 23. And he's so far ahead of schedule. And he's a remarkable, remarkable human being. Ciaran, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's nearly tearing up here and you introduced me there. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be in your company today, let alone be on the podcast. So thank you.
Just share the story of how we met and how that came about.
That's a very funny place to start, yeah. So it was basically one of my very good friends, Emma. I'd be very, very close to her. One of the people that you confide in about life and business and stuff like that. And she said to me, she moved to Dubai and she started working with this guy, Ciaran, from TMP.
She was actually working with Dan.
Sorry.
She was working with Dan. Okay. And then she was being under the TMP brand.
Yeah, the TMP brand. Sorry, my bad. So she was with the TMP brand.
Shout out to Emma, by the way.
Shout out to Emma. What a woman.
Great.
What
she's
a
very
woman.
Special.
But so she was saying to me, you need to reach out to TMP, you know what I mean? I think it'd be so good to have someone in your corner for all you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And this went on for like 5 months. Genuinely like 5 months, yeah. She'd say, because we check back in like a month later and be like, oh, how's this, how's that, blah, blah, blah. Did you text TMP? And I'll be like, oh yeah, Emma, I will. And she rang me one day because she was out on a run in the marina and it was December 2023. And she was out on a run and she ran into you and you went on a run together. And she was saying to you, I don't know if you remember this, but she was saying to that she has this friend back home called Ciaran. He's only 21 at the time. He has a company that employs 7-8 people. He's about to open up a second. He really thinks that we'd work well together. And I'm telling him to reach out to you. And she texts me. She was like, Ciaran, text him now. And I was like, right, Emma, I will. So I text you. You text back. We hopped on a call for a half an hour. We had a laugh. I felt like I was just in a room with a mate, and that was it. And as I said, it's something that I really haven't said to absolutely anyone at all. Anyone that I ever refer onto TMP, I'm just like, look, has nothing to do with me. Just get on to them and see how it works. But for what you've done for me is absolutely incredible. I can't put it into words, and it's just been incredible ever since. And here we are a year later. I was only saying to Ben this morning, February I started with you last year. So it's a nice way to kind of round off working together 1 year later, yeah.
I'm curious, that first call, because I remember one of your texts. You're like, to be honest, mate, I don't think I need this stuff. I think I'm pretty good, but I'm not really sure. And I said, hey, you don't have to come to the call. It's cool. Yeah, and then you're like, oh, no, I'll come along. I'll check it out, right?
Yeah.
What was your experience and what was your thought as you were exploring this?
So, please, I hope I don't offend you. I didn't want to say it, but I just always thought that online coaches and life coaches, whether it was an ego thing for me, it probably was more than likely, but I was like, who is someone else to tell me how to live my life? Like, I'm very like, I think life is just a part of like self-correction, and it's just like you go through something, you make mistakes, you have things that make your skin crawl, but you're kind of glad it happened because it helps you understand and move forward and be a better person. That's not for everyone, but it's for people that want that life, and I want the most out of life that I possibly can. I was like, what do I need someone else for? Like, you know what I mean?
I think I remember one line was, To be honest, mate, I don't think I need someone to tell me how to live my life.
I didn't say that to you, did I?
Yeah, I think it was that. But yeah, I don't think I need someone to tell me because my life's pretty good. But it was something along those lines, and I was like, I like this kid because without sounding like a granddad, when I was your age, I was kind of actually at that point. No, it's not true. I had a mentor. Maybe when I was 18, 19, I was like, what can you tell me? Like,
Yeah.
in many various different assets. Not always. I've always had mentors, but I recognized some of that, and I was like, I like this guy.
I'm even thinking, why did you even text me back? Yeah, it's like, so I'd like, I didn't really get on very well in school. I'm a very disagreeable person, but with a lot of respect too. Like, so I was always like, even growing up as a kid, it goes a lot deeper as well. Like I was in and out of every single child bereavement place in Dublin. Basically, my mum would bring me to loads of places, and I just never talked. And it wasn't until one woman, you know about Sharon, when I was in school. She's the only person I've ever talked to. She's the only person I ever have talked to. So anything outside of that, I was just like, no, we work hard, we learn from our mistakes, and that's it. But
Well,
one
that's
of the best decisions I've ever made. Yeah.
Well, that's part of your story, right? So, tell me a little bit about growing up for you. What that was like.
Well, I guess it all started. My dad died when I was 8 years old. He was diagnosed with cancer, esophageal cancer in May 2010, and then died in October. So the space of 4 months, he was gone. My mum always says that he was probably sick for a very long time and never said anything because he was that type of person. I guess anything before that was probably just pretty normal. Then everything after that was different. So, growing up after that, it was just, I don't know. I don't think I've grieved it properly, and we've talked about that before. Because I have an older brother that I love very much, Sean, but I'm definitely the older brother in the family. I definitely became man of the house. In a nutshell, it's the reason why I work so hard. It was an attempt to give my mom a better life. Everything I've ever done, it was to just try and give her a better life and free financial burdens from her life and give us a better life than we got as well. So everyone has their things, you know what I mean? And whenever I say it to people, like if people haven't dealt with like any type of grief or stuff like that, they get a little awkward and stuff and don't really know how to communicate. But I'm just like, I do brush it off and I deal well with it, but I also think I haven't really grieved it too. It's hard to kind of put into words to be like, oh, what was it like after that? Because I think, like, even I was 8 years old standing at my dad's funeral, you know, I was just like, right, let's pull our pants up and let's do something for mom, you know what I mean? And it's been that ever since. So I guess it's only been in the last little while in my little path of self-discovery I've really started to understand myself and understand my habits and understand why I work so hard and why I run myself into the ground and why I don't really need to, and maybe give myself the love that I give to others, specifically to my mom as well, yeah.
So, run us through the story, right? So that's happened. You're in school. How's school going for you?
Yeah, school. So that would have been third class, and back in Ireland it's done by class and then year. So I was 8 years old, obviously. So yeah, primary school was pretty sweet. I'm pretty sure I don't really remember a lot, but I'm pretty sure my mom just kind of put us back into school and playing football and tried to keep us as normal as possible. I remember going back to school after my dad's funeral and everyone was like, "Oh, his dad died," you know, as 8-year-olds would be. But yeah, I think it was pretty normal. And looking back, I've only realised in the last couple of years, like, it from my mom's experience, because obviously, like, I owe that woman everything. She's everything to me. And what she's done for me and my brother, growing up, the sacrifices that she made after my dad dying, because they were together 26 years, I think. She hasn't been with someone since. It's been 15 years. So yeah, she's an incredible woman.
So she's giving you everything that you need.
Yeah.
And then run me through secondary school.
Yeah, so primary school was pretty sweet.
Did business start in primary school, or did that come later?
Secondary school, yeah.
In secondary school, sorry. Is that where it started? Because
definitely started to come
entrepreneurialism starts at very different stages, very different people. But there are some people that pick that up early.
Yeah. No, primary school was pretty good. I was actually very studious in primary school. I was very good. I really enjoyed it, and I was very studious, very academic. And then secondary school hit. And I think I did fall down the path of trying to be accepted, trying to be liked. I just wanted to be cool. I did all of that. First, second, kind of third year, I like before my junior cert, which would be big exams back home. I kind of just I didn't really like academics. I was kind of, you know, in the popular group and stuff like that. And something that I've confided in you in, and I really haven't said to anyone at all, is I was in the popular group, quote unquote, as a kid, but I'm not really too embarrassed about it. It was very tough at the time, but I was that kid in the group that everyone picked on. And like it was tough. Like I guess you could say I was borderline bullied, to be honest. It was always like, I guess I was an easy target. I didn't have a dad, didn't have a lot of money, didn't have the clothes or shoes everyone else had. Couldn't go on all the trips. Couldn't like. I remember I remember one case in an instant. We were out, and I think we were going for food and going to the movies, and I only had enough money for one, and I didn't want to go for food and then go home, and I didn't want to not go for food and then go to the movies. And I said it to my friends at the time, and they all just kind of started laughing, you know what I mean? And looking back in hindsight, I was like, if that was me, I'd, you know, 5 of my friends could put €2-3 together and I could come with them, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it was tough. And I didn't like school. Going into like everyone has their own things, but getting to school was even a win for me because I'd be at home. My mom confided in me as a kid. She'd be crying on my shoulder. She didn't really confide in anyone else, and it was just normal to me at the time. But then I grew older and kind of understood it. She'd be stressing over bills, and she'd be working 2 jobs, and yeah. So getting to school was even a big deal for me. And I get to school and they tell me I have the wrong coloured socks early. You know, I don't have this. I don't have a black pen, and I'd just be like, you know. So yeah, as time went on, from like 4th, 5th, my last 2-3 years in school, I really stopped going. And that's when I got a job as soon as I could, the legal age, when I was 16, just in a shop in Malahide, where I live in Dublin, and it was for €6.50 an hour. And I was just like, it's all I can get. And then I was there for about 9 months, and then I got a job in a cafe called Taste of the Med. And the owner, Jackie, he was actually my first ever he's a very good friend to this day, but he was a bit of a mentor figure to me too. I worked there for 3 years and I learned an incredible amount off him. Yeah, and that's a whole nother story in itself from where I got to there. But yeah, school was, secondary school was pretty tough.
When did business start?
Well, to be honest with you, when I was growing up in secondary school, I did lead myself down a few wrong roads. And I had to learn that the hard way. But then as time went on, the first ever business I started was a meal prep company out of my house. The Instagram is still there, and it's actually called Soul Kitchen. I think I was 16, 17. You can go back and check the years. 17 maybe, I think I might have been. Maybe even 18. And I cooked 450 meals from my house. I packaged them, delivered them myself. So I was cooking meals for like 15 hours. Did it all on Instagram, delivered them myself. Made a good bit of money, made even more experience, but I realised that I bit off way more than I can chew. And I had the last Instagram post on Soul Kitchen. I'll actually send it to you later on. It's like Soul Kitchen is stopping for the foreseeable due to unforeseen circumstances, blah, 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 back soon. Just bit off way more than I could chew. But the breakfast was oats. It was protein Oreo oats, actually. We still do the flavour to this day. So I think I can't remember exactly. I was about 17, 18, I'd say. And then I was working in that cafe tasting around at the time, and I just stopped it and I stayed there. Then I worked my way up through a few different chef roles kind of while I was in school. And then when I was in one of the kitchens, I started soul food. And people always ask me all the time, how did it start? And I don't have a definitive answer. It's not like I woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to make oats for the rest of my life. But there was a couple poignant things that happened. One of my chefs got me into culinary arts college. So I studied 2 years of culinary arts. Culinary arts is basically like chefing. And one of my chefs knew the head of the school, so he got me in because I couldn't get in with my grades. Like my mum I came home, I got a phone call off my chef on a Friday. He was like, do you want to go to college on Monday? And I was just like, what? It was mad. I went home to my mum. She was like, you're going where? So I was in college for 2 years. And one of my lecturers in college, it was like a nutrition class, and she was saying about like obesity rates in Ireland and Europe and stuff. And she was like, if there's any entrepreneurs in the room getting into a healthy food product company, is the way forward because it will be state funded in the next 5 to 10 years. And it was just that. I wasn't an entrepreneur at the time. And yeah, there was loads of pointed things like that. There's this coffee shop. I'd be good friends with the owners back in Malahide, called Yellow Door, and they asked me to come down like 3-4 years ago because I'd have a bit of a name for myself back home of like the chef, healthy food guy who, you know, trains MMA and runs and stuff. So they asked me to come down and they wanted to do some healthy grab and go products and they wanted me to help them. And I went down and I was showing them like, yeah, here's how to make protein balls, here's how to make oats, here's how to make granola balls. And they were just like, what? That's so easy. And I came home from that and I remember saying to one of the girls in college, I was like, oh, I was here. She was like, you should do that. And I was like, yeah. So there was loads of kind of like poignant things like snowballing. And then I made a logo. That's still our logo to this day. I found a supplier, started messing around with samples, made an Instagram, literally put up a post saying DM to order one day. And it's been a rocket ever since. And I started that from my house in January 2023. I started at August 2022, but your first couple of months of business, it's just kind of like figuring it out. So we really started trading seriously in January 2023, which is just 2 years ago, yeah.
And run us through the journey of how it's got to where it is today.
Yeah, wow. Where to start? Yeah, so I started then, and it was just DM to order. And like, I remember I had 2 or 3 cafes text me being like, we're interested in stocking your oats. You know, what's your wholesale price? What's your MOQ? I had to Google what an MOQ was. I didn't know what an MOQ was. What's your wholesale price? Great question. And because I don't think I'm a very materialistic person, so it didn't start about money. It was never about money. So yeah, I had a couple of cafes text me. I put on jeans. I went over and met them. I had a skinhead at the time. You know, I was just making up as it was going. Started home delivering, was taking orders through Instagram, and really just I started making them on my mom's kitchen counter, and then I bought my own table for the conservatory, and then I took over half of the kitchen with a press. One of the things I did from the start as well, I did everything above board. I got the EHO, the food safety people out, got an accountant before I could afford one, registered the business. Like if I do something, I'm 100% or I'm not. And yeah, I didn't have any like big aspirations of where I was taking it. I was just having a laugh. I swear to God, the whole time I was just having a laugh. So we were blasted. We were just growing so much. I'm a very creative person, and I started making loads of content. I kind of feel like we did creator content before creator content was a thing. And you can see on our Instagram, you can go all the way back, and I've just my face and stupid funny videos and stuff like that. So we were home delivering. Our delivery radius was growing and growing. It got to a point I set up our own website, and we got a terminal just to make logistics a little easier. And that was just growing and growing and growing. And then we did that for about a year. And then February 2024, which was only last year, is that correct? No, sorry. It was only a couple of months after we started trading seriously. It was like February, March 2023. I just had an idea that I made one of the boldest decisions I've ever made. I think being an entrepreneur, it is about high risk, bold decisions, which everyone, my accountant was like, do not do that. Like, that makes no sense. We were doing like 100 deliveries a week, personal orders, delivering it everywhere. We had like 2 or 3 cafes at the time. And I just had an idea and a gut feeling that if I stop, because dealing with 100 different people who, like, if you order oats to your house, you're only going to get 5, 6, 7 max. You know what I mean? If I can deliver to cafes and shops, if I can deliver them 100 oats, 500 oats, 1,000 oats, a big retail shop with 1,000 oats, I can have all of the people that we're delivering out to who are ordering every week on this reoccurring system, who are telling their friends about it, all that good stuff. They will go to the cafes, and it'll take out, not the hassle, because customers are everything in business, I think. Yeah, to have to keep the customer at the front of everything. If I get them to go to the retailers to get them, it just cuts out all the hassle. It cuts out less headaches. It's like I deliver one cafe 100 oats and they pay, and that's it, and they sell them for me. They make a healthy lick too. It drives some customers to their place. So that was it. I cut all of our revenue, like all of it. We had 3 cafes at the time, small cafes, that are still stocking us to this day. And I hired my first 2 staff, which was, I put my mom on the books. She was helping me out of her house, but we had to scale up. So I took on our first unit. It was literally like a 20 square foot little sublet, like threw some stainless steel tables into it and a fridge, like hadn't a clue what I was doing. Hired my mom, put her on the books, put my little cousin on the books. Grew from there. 6 weeks later, we took over 150 square foot bottom floor of a warehouse, 3 more staff, a 3-foot walk-in fridge, and we just started growing from there. A lot of the cafes that came on board as well, still really, we were only talking about this before, to this day, we've really grown organically, through word of mouth, through Instagram, through events and collaborations, through word of mouth. Like, we're really just a genuine family-run Irish business. I'm a young fella just trying his best. I'm no different to anyone else. I'm just trying to make a difference. Running a food company makes a lot of sense when you're a chef too. Like, I know what I'm doing. I wouldn't go open up a gym. Like, I know how to lift weights, but not to that extent. But running a food company makes sense. So whenever people ask me like, oh, how did you do it, this and that? It's like, I'm a chef. I run a food company. Now, I'm lucky. Well, I'm not lucky. I've taught myself how to run a business and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's basically, it's been nothing but a rocket ship ever since then. And then we moved November 2023, the biggest coffee company in Ireland, Bewley's. I think they're in the UK as well. They approached us and offered us some production space in their warehouse, 10 minutes away from my house, 10 minutes from where our cafe is now. I met them. They offered it to us on a Wednesday. I met them on a Thursday. I asked could we move in over the weekend, and we were there the next week because our lease was running out in the other place, which is also a long story. And yeah, that was it. We've been there ever since. They're incredible people. They've done a lot for us. And yeah, we've been there ever since. So it's pretty cool to have our production company underneath the biggest coffee company in Ireland. Yeah.
Wow. And there's 2 tracks I can go with here. We'll stay on this track. So when you look at the emotional journey that you went on and are going on, what would you say the lessons are? Because I remember you coming to a few calls and almost just watching you go through the fire, right? Because my job, I can't do the hurting for you, you know? But what would you say some of the lessons are on emotion management and mindset that you've picked up on?
From like business and leadership specifically, from the businesses?
From what you've learned, yeah.
Yeah. The main thing, and I'm going to get it tattooed on me, I tell you now, is seek to understand before being understood. And it's something that you've drilled into my head and I'm still actively working on. Because like I have 13 on the roster now between the 2 companies. It's hard as well because some are just college students and they kind of come and go and stuff. But we have a really good, we don't have a big kind of staff turnover, and anyone that comes into the company, I want them to be a big part of it, more than just making oats, more than just being a barista. I want everyone's voice involved. It's the only way to run a company for me. It's like some of the best ideas we have and the best things we do have came from other people. And that's another kind of trait that I like in myself as well, and kind of allows me to do what I do best. Because a lot of people say don't be friends. I've had business owners say to me, don't be friends with your staff, keep them on the long finger. Don't see them outside of work. It's different. It's cutthroat. It's business. You can run a successful business and do it with a kind heart, 100%. I'm yet to be proven wrong. And I'll hold my hands up if I do, and I'll move on, and I'll still have a smile on my face. And that's something I love from my mum. She looks at the world with love. She is just the kindest, most loving woman in the world. And I've learned everything from her. But even at that, like my roster, it's cool. I have 13 staff. I'm 23. Woohoo. Sounds cool. My staff are my mum, my uncle, my little cousin, 5 of my friends in soul food, and then 5 of my friends in the cafe. They're all my friends. And whenever we hire new staff, it's always kind of from referrals. Like this guy Keen, like one of the soundest blokes you'll ever meet. You'd actually love him. One of my friends who works in the company, James, he sent me a CV a year ago on an email. He's my best friend now. We went to Rome together to do a half marathon a little while ago. 2 of the guys were leaving. They were going back to college. And we were like, we're going to need someone else. And he just goes, one of my friends, Keen, loves soul food. He'd love to come down. I met him for a coffee the next day. I gave him the job 10 minutes later. I feel like I could talk to someone for a couple of minutes and know if they're going to be a good addition to the team. So yeah, I think it's a lot different when you go from...
So seek first to understand before being understood.
Yes. I'm bad for going off on tangents. Apologies.
How did you figure that out?
Because...
And what do you actually mean by that?
So it's a lot easy in life, but in business specifically, it's easy to let your ego take over you and just want your voice to be heard. And no, this isn't right, and you need to listen to me, and just meet someone defensively. But when you just allow and let someone come to you. Remember one of the first things you said to me, it was the first month we worked together. I had a situation and I rang you and you said to me, for the path that you're on and who you want to become, and especially as a leader, sometimes things happen that are unjust and you just have to deal with it, and that's just it. Rather than be like, no, but this is unfair and this is what I think. And that's been the biggest thing, because things might happen, but at the end of the day, I have a role to play and I have jobs to do. I have bills to pay. I have targets to meet. Nothing else really matters. So it's just differentiating my energy. So seeking to understand before being understood is allowing someone the space to talk, to hear them out, to really listen, to get as much out of them as you can. Like, okay, that's, someone comes to you with a problem. No way, it might be a problem with me. How did I make you feel that way? Rather than, no, I didn't, and that's been life-changing for me. There was a couple of situations after we were talking about it that I was like, you'd be proud of me, like I didn't retaliate, you know what I mean? Even just sitting on things, even just being like, I'll get back to you. Like, and then being like, okay, what's going on here? Where are they coming from? What actually needs to happen here? You know what I mean? And it's not in a way of like trying to manipulate the situation at all. It's just trying to get the best out of it, and not like, me as the leader, I need to hear out my people. I need to hear what they have to say, and I need to act accordingly. That's easily been the biggest lesson, yeah.
Essentially what I was teaching Ciaran is how to deal with conflict management, because he would come to me and he'd be like, this has happened and I just can't see this and this and he's stuck in his warrior. He's angry and he's frustrated and he's upset. And what I had to teach him was, mate, you're only seeing it from your perspective, and anything that you reply with, any message, any phone call, any conversation that you'll have, you'll regret it. You'll fire off an email or you'll say something that's just not right. So instead of instantly getting your back up and throwing punches, learning to become more calm, more smooth, more clear, learning to seek to understand before being understood. Well, hang on, you're all angry. You don't even understand their position. They might even have a point. They might even be right and you might even be wrong. But you're so entrenched in this intense emotion, Ciaran, you're getting stuck and you're not seeing that. So seeking first to understand before you're being understood is asking questions. Oh, okay. Well, tell me more about your perspective. How have you landed on that conclusion? Right. And what's my part in that? And what's your part in that? And how have we created that? And just taking time to slow down and listen. Because often when you see things from other people's perspectives, it can actually calm you down. Okay, that's where they're coming from. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're right, but you'll be able to empathize and connect with the human being at the other side of the conflict a lot easier than just firing off from your position. You're wrong. I think this. I think that. How can you think that? How can you say that? And when you learn to slow down in those moments of intense emotion, when you learn to not fire off emails or phone calls or messages, taking that pause, getting back in control, listening, you'll unlock new opportunities. You'll actually create a lot more stronger and healthy relationships and connections. And ultimately, you can move through things together much faster. But it takes time. It takes experience. And that's something that you've been doing a really good job at, getting better at.
Thank you. Yeah, in a nutshell, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been life-changing.
So I never actually asked, how did the cafe come about? Because you've got two companies. You've got the oats business and then you've got the cafe.
Yes.
So run me through that. Did that cafe come first after the oats, or did it come second?
Cafe came after. So It was Soul Food's my baby. It always will be for the last 2 years. Yeah, cafe is a long story. I don't know where to start, but long story short, unfortunately, it started off by someone who I thought was my friend coming to me with an opportunity that was good and was nothing but a nightmare for a couple of months. And very, very lucky for me, I had a couple of people in my corner that really cared about me. One person in specific who we still work with to this day, and he used to work with them. It's our coffee roaster. An incredible man that I owe a lot. I had a 3-hour phone call with him after kind of things really didn't start making sense. I just realised that absolutely everything that for the last couple of months has just been lies and leverage, and everything was just basically planted on me and leveraged over me to, if it fell down, it was falling on me, which was, extremely tough. And then basically, my accountant was one of the people looking out for me as well. He sent me on to his solicitor, who I could not afford. Worked with me throughout the whole process. Didn't charge me a cent. I struggle to understand why these people have done, like you, why these people have done what they've done for me. But I'll just be forever and grateful and indebted, and hope that I can pass it on again one day. My solicitor said the only thing that matters here is talking to the landlords. So I set up a meeting with the landlords, went and talked to them, found out that the person I thought was my friend told them that I was just working for them, and I just sat down and I was like, look, I don't really know what's going on here. I'm just a kid in a tracksuit, you know what I mean? I just want to go home. I have another business. I just want to go home and just sleep tonight. I want this all over with, you know? I don't care about no cafe. I just want to take my man for a nice meal every now and again. Told them the whole story, start to finish, how I met them, how it came about, where we're at now. And I just said, look, I'd love the opportunity to keep the cafe. My staff and I kept my staff in the loop the whole time, because the people who I thought were my friends were actually out of the country at this point. So they were just gone. So I sat my staff down that were in the cafe, told them what was going on, and they stood with me from day one. I would be absolutely nowhere without the people that have done it with me. And then luckily the landlords, I said to them, you mightn't even want to work with me after this, which is very understandable. That'd be pretty heartbreaking. It's a great opportunity for me and my people and my business. I even go to them, I'd love to recommend you to someone that this won't happen with again, because we work at basically every single cafe in Dublin. They said, we're going to have to talk to our solicitors. We'll give you a call next week. And they called me the next day and said, look, this is a bit of an unofficial phone call, but we're very grateful with how honest you were with us. And as far as we're concerned, you know, it's you guys. You can crack on working. And I cried on the phone call to one of the biggest development company in the country's PA. I guess you could say I'm a little bit of an emotional guy. But yeah, so then we cracked on. I told the team, me and my manager Davide, who I owe a lot to. He's an incredible human being, and partner. We painted the cafe black that night. Got new signs, just complete rebrand, 180 overnight. The cafe didn't close down for a single day throughout this whole process, and I had to keep my other business scaling and running at the same time too. And yeah, we cracked on, and it's been a treacherous journey. It really has. Something that you, along with a couple other people, started questioning me with, because you went through this whole situation with me. You knew, my friend, hold on, something's going on here. This isn't really making sense, Ciaran, you know what I mean? Oh, Ciaran, this is after happening. And you went through that whole process with me too, which I'll be forever grateful for. But yeah.
What was your biggest learning out of that experience? Because I was looking at that, right? And we all experience it. We all get what we feel is betrayal. People not being honest with us. We're all going to get that real kick in the nuts. That's business, right? But I could see you were doing your best with what you had. And it was hard because you have a really deep loyalty streak in you. But sometimes that actually holds you back because you overplay how much that person is actually doing. And I could see how much it was hurting you. So what would you say the biggest lesson that you took from that whole situation?
Where to start? You know what? Never let the world make you a bad person. Because a lot of what happened could have turned me into a better person and started looking at the world with hate. Because the amount that I did for the two people that I thought were my friends, and for it to turn out what it did, I could just hate the world. But I chose not to. And that's something my mom taught me. So whatever about business, I don't want more money. I just want a nice life for me and my mom. So whatever happens, just don't let the world make you. Don't let the world change it. Don't let bad situations in the world change it, because I think it's inevitable to happen for all of us. Everyone is going to have a path of surrendering at some point. But don't let that make you not who you are. You know what I mean? I'm glad that I had a lot of learning to go throughout the whole experience too, but I'm glad that I'm still a person filled with love. and I still trust people. You know what I mean? I think I'm a lot smarter, and I'm glad it happened. But yeah, just don't let the world make you a bad person.
Yeah. So the one thing I kept whispering into this guy's ear as he was going through that was, it's all scar tissue, mate. It's all scar tissue. Because in life and business, there are going to be moments and experiences that are going to cut you open to your core. People who you trusted, they're going to hurt you, whether that's maliciously or unintentionally or whatever. You're going to get hurt. It's going to cut you open. But for any experienced business operator, you got to build that scar tissue. And while you're ahead of schedule and things were happening so fast, we could see that it was really intense. There was moments where, almost like a nuclear reactor, I could see that vibration of, oh my God, it could explode at any moment. But you come through it. And when you come through it, and you can come through those moments and still have love and abundance and care for other people, you haven't let the world break your soul. Because the moment you let the world break your soul, what's the point? You know? And that's leadership. It's being that lighthouse in the darkness. When it's all murky and dark and misty and everyone's worried and they're not sure. If you can be a bright light in a world that isn't so full of love, light and abundance, and that's the test of character and that's the test of spirit. Because you could have thrown it all in, jacked it all in and went, right, I don't want to do this business anymore, just want to do this. Oh, I can't. But you didn't. You went on the front foot. You went, right, what can I do with what I've got? How can I leverage my mentors? How can I ask questions? So you had to go through it. And guess what? There's going to be more firestorms that burn you to the floor, and then you get rebuilt, and then you get burnt to the floor again, and then you get rebuilt. Like, that's not going to stop.
One of the first things you said to me was, Ciaran, after it was kind of over, you do know that this will happen again. And I was like, oh, Ciaran, it's just after been dealt with. But yeah, that is true. Sorry for interrupting, but yeah, it was one of the first things you said to me. Well, Ciaran, you know that this will happen again. Many times.
Not the same mistake.
Yeah.
But you'll experience the same emotions, just with different experiences.
Yeah.
So you'll have moments again where people will let you down, or stuff won't work out, and you're going to feel whatever you feel. But the difference is you're picking up more scar tissue. You're becoming more experienced. So what used to be a kick in the nuts now is just sort of a kick on the lower left knee, or it's a kick in the stomach. And then eventually you learn to catch them on the elbows. And, okay. But for the specific mistakes, you'll always be able to spot them coming. Oh, I've been around the block. I can see that. I know what's happening. But a big part of entrepreneurship is just having a resistance to failure, a resistance to taking shit and just moving forward again and again and again and again. And as you start to toughen up and you build that tough, resilient, thick skin, eventually when you do get cut, it's still going to hurt and it's going to be frustrating, but you're just able to deal with it better. But if you are going through something that feels really raw and really difficult, just keep saying to yourself, this is just scar tissue. I'm building scar tissue. I'm building scar tissue. And there will come a point, and especially for you, there will come a point where you'll figure out how to laugh at it, how to go, ouch, ouch, right, give me some more. And it will come. But where you are ahead of schedule and you're still learning this stuff, it hurts even more because you have less experience. You have less experience of these things. So, yeah, as you're building up your scar tissue, it'll become easier.
I definitely learned to smile at the pain. That's one thing I definitely learned to do. Sit in the pain and smile at the pain. And as you said, take all of the bad stuff, but keep moving forward. I think that's what it's hard to explain you to people sometimes, you know. But that's how I explain it in a nutshell. It's how to deal with everything and keep moving forward.
Yeah, as Rocky Balboa said.
Yeah, that's literally about to quote him, yeah. How will you take and keep moving forward? That's how winning is done.
Yeah.
No, but it's true. It is true.
Okay, so just share some of the lessons that you've picked up working together over the last year.
I don't know where to start. It's going to end up sounding like an ad, but like, okay, let me answer your question because I'll go off on a tangent again. I have learned to accept and feel all of my emotions truly and fully and not fight them and not resist them and moving forward regardless. And it's the healthiest thing I've ever done, is just understanding your emotions and your thoughts, the difference between your thoughts and your emotions and what you need to get done. As we just talked about, my childhood and stuff like that, everyone has their own stuff. The situation that happened last year, I went through a pretty abrupt breakup as well last year, and you were the first person that I text, and you hopped on a call with me straight away, and you said, well, that's it, let's just get on with it, like, you know what I mean? And that was incredible to have. But even at that, like, the allowing yourself to feel the emotion, so not resisting it. So for that case, like, of course I was extremely upset, and you said, yeah, lovely, be upset, you know. I was like, oh, but I have work tomorrow. I'll never forget it, because it was a Thursday that it happened, and I had work on the Friday, and I was short staffed in the production company. I was like, oh, Ciaran, we were on the phone that night. It was literally like 8 p.m. I was like, Ciaran, I have work tomorrow. How can I stand in front of 5-6 of my staff and be borderline in tears all day? Like, you know what I mean? And you said, right, lovely. What time's work? And I said, 8 a.m. Sweet. Get to the car park at 7:15. Set a timer for 20 minutes and just think about it and play a sad song. Cry as much as you need to. And then turn it off. When the timer goes, turn off your car, wipe your eyes, and get to work. Don't think about it again. And it was the healthiest thing I have ever done. And I've done that on multiple occasions as well, even with happy emotions. Like, because I like to think like life is like one big roller coaster. There's plenty of ups and plenty of downs, and I try not get invested in it too much and just stay calm all the time. But sometimes it is to enjoy the good times, and I'm very slow to enjoy the good times, and I'm very good I'm very good in the fire. I'm very good when things are going wrong, but I need to have a nice balance. So, you know, allowing myself into them feelings of, you know, things going wrong with the business, problems with this, problems with that, a personal situation that I had, dealing with that, even with friends. I've lost a lot of people that I thought were supposed to be in my life over the last year. But yeah, just allowing yourself to understand all your emotions and moving forward regardless would definitely be the main thing. Yeah. Big umbrella that falls underneath that.
Yeah. And, you know, when you're dealing with things like grief, and I will challenge you. You said, I don't think I've really dealt with it. I'd actually challenge you there, because you have done work on the grief and you have started to move forward. You have had moments where, you know, there's been tears and there's been crying and there's been writing and there's been journaling. So I think you've done more than you give yourself credit for. And grief is a weird thing, because it's never going to be like, there's never really a moment when it's done. It's just the flame, the intensity of that flame just starts to come a little less. Not the positive flame, the flame of grief. And everyone grieves differently, right? So I would challenge you on that. You've done more than you think. But when you suppress your emotions for so long, you actually stop not only the bad emotions from coming in, but you actually stop the good emotions from coming in. And that can actually be quite problematic, because if you're a type A driven business owner or an executive that's just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, well, the victories never feel so good, because you don't have the emotional capacity to feel victory or fun or love or connection and fulfillment. But then also this fear of going into the darkness because it might impact your performance also doesn't really allow you to feel. So as you're disassociated, not only are you less creative, but you'll experience less connection and less fulfillment in your work. And the best performers always feel connected, fulfillment, and they win at what they do. So for you, learning, okay, I can manage my emotions, I can feel emotions, not to be ashamed of feeling emotion and letting that out and processing it. And then when the time comes, you put on your big boy pants and you go, right, back to work. It'll be a hard thing to do, but you're modeling what high performance looks like. And then when you come out of your work, do you want to cry? Cry. What is that? That's as simple as that. The judgment of oneself for one feeling emotional, specifically negative emotion, often is worse than actually just feeling the emotion, processing the emotion, and moving on. Because emotion is just energy, and it's just stuck in your body. You can learn to process that, and if you need to cry, cry. If you need to be angry, be angry, if you need to feel a bit sad or upset, just feel that, process it, and then when it comes back to work, you put your big boy pants on and you go back to work. And that's a healthy balance. Too much emotion, you're not going to pick up the tools and get anything done. Not enough emotion and you're only picking up the tools, you're just running away and burning energy that you don't need to burn. So that thank you for sharing that story. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a funny one.
Yeah. So is there anything else, any particular lessons that come up or any stories where you go, actually, you said this thing or that thing?
Where to start? It's been one incredible journey that is kind of hard to pinpoint. Like, I feel like I've grown. I often say to you that I'd be scared to think of like who I'd be without having you by my side for the last year. Everything that I went through last year, the timing was impeccable. I started working with you in February and everything started falling down in March. April, May. Last year was a bit of a grunt work year, but it's funny. I'm very grateful. I have a pretty incredible phone book at the moment with some pretty incredible business owners back home. And it's funny, anyone I talk to has one, oh yeah, that happened to me 2 years. Mm-hmm. And last year will be, oh yeah, that happened to me 2 years. Like 20 years time, I have some little 18-year-old entrepreneur giving me a bell. I just go, oh yeah, that's wait till I tell you about 2024. You know, but then again with that, there was also a lot of good stuff last year. So yeah, it's definitely the balance, but it's just specifically like whenever I talk to people about you, I'm very specific with who I talk to because it can fall on deaf ears sometimes, because I think you have to be a certain type of person to work with you and work with TMP. You have to be willing to put the work in. People might think it's just like a quick fix. Like, it's not at all. You're tested, and the balance it gives you. I don't really believe in balance because I think when you love what you do, it's kind of just life. Like, I don't really have a work life. I have life because I love what I do genuinely. But then obviously you need downtime, you need structure, you need routine. That's the biggest thing I learned off you is structure, because it's something that I didn't believe in before I started working with you. I still kind of struggle with from time to time, but I've gotten a lot better with, and it's been life-changing for me. That structure equals freedom, 100%. Especially when you're operating at such a high level and responsible for so many people and things too. That has been life-changing for me. Something I've really zoned in on this year too.
Yeah, and structure isn't just how you structure your diary. Structure is also how do you structure your emotions. How do you have the various containers and support network and the moments to process emotions so you can become more calm, become more clear, become more confident, and get more done. So structure, often people think it's just diary management. No, it's not. How do you structure your mind? How do you structure the way in which you think? Not forcing, but just flowing. And that's what I see. You seem a lot lighter these days. You seem to flow a lot more.
Yeah. Wow, that's an incredible way to put it. That's one thing that Australia did for me. I was over in Australia for a month over Christmas, and I came back just so light and just more creative and just more happier. I think last year, when I say last year didn't change me, at my core it didn't, but it definitely kind of, the things that we've been working on over the last while, it definitely has done a couple of things to me, but I'm glad to have understood it. And I think life is just one big journey of understanding yourself and just figuring it all out. And one thing that has been life-changing for me, and I can't recommend to people enough, is journaling. And people think journaling is like, oh, dear diary, today I'm grateful for, which is also good. I'm not disregarding that. But it's just like as simple as just bleeding your brain out onto paper. I don't know if it was you or if I came up with this analogy myself. But journaling to me is like, you know, that drawer in your house that has all the chargers and all the wires and a packet of, you know, a lighter and like a packet of batteries and stuff, just the drawer with everything. That's your brain as the years go on and so many situations and people and stuff that happens to you. And your brain is just them wires. And journaling and staying consistent with it and bleeding your brain out onto paper, whatever it might be. There's no right way to journal. You just kind of figure it out for yourself. That's just you untangling the wires and putting them back neatly into the drawer and putting out the empty packet of batteries and stuff like that. And that's been extremely life-changing for me. Like last year alone, I went through 2 journals. They're 350-page journals. I went through 2 of them. I had a 2024 part 2. I'm gonna auction the 2 of them off in the future because there's a lot of learning in them. Oh my God. And But yeah, journaling has been extremely life changing for the better. And something that you've drilled into my head even from the start. I used to struggle with saying consistent with, oh yeah, because I've been doing it for years. I've been doing it for a good 3-4 years, even before we started working together. Like, oh yeah, I'd love to do it, but I'd love to be more consistent. And you just go, sweet, send me a photo every night of your journal, and that'll hold you accountable.
Yeah, you still do it to this day.
I still do it to this day.
Yeah, you're on. You still.
Yeah, I still do it to this day. And I remember I did it for like a week or two, and I think I said it to you. I think I shot at you a voice where I was like, look, like I don't know if I'm annoying or anything with these. Like, I don't know, it's a bit weird or something. And then you go, I still do it with my mentor to this day. It holds me accountable, and that's it. Because like even now, like I journal every day, twice a day sometimes. So like I don't really need the accountability, but it's, I guess, poignant to still have it. It's quite nice to still have it, you know? So yeah, that's journaling has been incredible.
It's a really nice metaphor.
I think I did come up with that.
I said that was my IP. My IP is journaling is like brushing your teeth for the mind. Like you just wouldn't not brush your teeth, right? I like to think most people in my audience brush their teeth at least twice a day. So when you don't brush your teeth, you start to get bad breath. And then you start to get pain, and then you start to get cavities, and you're going back to the dentist, and you're not having a good time. So when you learn how to journal daily, it doesn't have to be this long, drawn-out process. It could be a couple of minutes. That's just you taking your toothbrush and clearing out the mind. It sounds like it's a little habit you've picked up.
Yeah. It's just like even have the whole thing when I was in Australia. It's just it's nearly nice even having your life documented. Like I even have like, you know, everything last year. I have everything in depth and detail, 3 pages of everything I went through last year with the cafe. I have days where I was like, I just spent the whole day with my old friend. I love him so much. He's, you know, I'm so glad to have met him. And, you know, another friend that I had last year that I haven't heard from in a while. And, you know, I have the day that I met my ex-girlfriend, and then the week that we went out together and the whole relationship we had, and then the day it ended. And one thing I think you've made me realize as well, I don't think you really picked up on it because it was very, very briefly, as one of our calls a little while ago. You are the first person that ever made me feel normal about loving other people regardless. Because, for example, with friends that aren't in my life, or partners that aren't in my life anymore, like I have nothing but love. I try to have nothing but love for everyone and everything. And like our soul food post, we always finish it with love always, because I do believe that love is always the answer. And even for people that aren't in your life anymore, like they're still beautiful people, and I'm glad it happened. I'm glad everything happened, because life just constantly moves, and you just got to move with it. That's one thing that you briefly touched on that made me feel normal. Because even like that, it's like, oh, you don't talk to your ex-girlfriend. It's like, okay, maybe you don't talk to them. It doesn't mean you need to, you know, not like them or have anything bad to say about them. I have nothing but good to say about anyone that was really in my life, even however it ended. That was something that was very, very nice to kind of feel like I wasn't, you know, crazy.
Yeah, well, love is abundance. And I work in a world which is very much high performance. How do we get more done in less time? How do we achieve more? How do we become more strong, more resilient, more confidence? But actually, love is abundance. And all I'm teaching you is how you can love yourself more, becoming your own best friend, so you can have the capacity to love others, to connect more with others. And that might sound a little bit deep, especially for people that haven't been in, you know, the type of coaching or mentoring that we do at TMP and also my private one-to-one clients. But when you learn to love yourself, when you learn, okay, I am enough, I am worthy, and all the external insecurities and fears and doubts are normal, and I'm a human being, and you can become your own best friend, and you can become a better best friend, leader, son, partner. All of that becomes much easier, because there's no point doing battle with yourself all of the time, because when you're fighting all of that energy and trying to beat yourself up and trying to resent your way towards your goals, you don't have this emotional capacity to give as much love. Now, at the same time, you've also got to learn that whilst you can love unconditionally, there's a difference between loving unconditionally and being taken advantage of. And I think that's a really hard lesson that you've had to learn, particularly with some potentially malicious people in your world, that people will take advantage of that. But as you get a little bit smarter and you get a bit more experienced and you realize this stuff isn't going to kill you, your capacity for love is still there, and your baseline of love and trust is there to be lost versus only to be won, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. It's that living with abundance and trying to never lose that, but do it in a smarter way, and also with boundaries. Because boundaries is something I've always struggled with, and especially I think that would definitely be one of the biggest, most life changing things I've done by working with TMP and you is loving yourself, just giving yourself the love that you show others, and being your own best friend, and allowing yourself to. It's been a long journey for the last 2 years of my path of self-discovery / entrepreneurship, but I feel like I'm only now in a place of allowing myself the time and space to do this, to go on the holiday, to read my book in a cafe and turn my phone off, to not have to just put out fires all the time. That's one of the most life-changing things I've definitely learned from. I actually remember it was a weekly call that Charlotte took, and I was talking to her. I'll never forget
Just
it.
heads up, Ciaran's referencing. So I have a call every Thursday where all of my one-to-one clients and all of the TMP clients can come along. And the guys and girls, they come in, they ask their questions, I challenge their thinking. Some people come in, they're like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, cool. And then actually as we start speaking, there's another level of growth. And Charlotte in our team, great coach, great therapist. She's amazing. And she every now and then she jumps on a call, or Jake takes the group call. So that's what Ciaran's referencing.
Yeah, and it's genuinely my favourite part of the week. I couldn't do them while I was in Australia. I haven't been on one in like 6-7 weeks, and I've been snapping. But it's incredible to be in a room filled with people having the same ideas. You might go to a call and be like, oh, like I'm grand, and someone says something, and you go, oh, I'm picking up off each other and just having a virtual room full of people on the same kind of ambitious wavelength is extremely beneficial. It's one of my favourite parts of the week, genuinely. But one of the calls that we had with Charlotte, I was talking to her. I can't remember what the situation was, but I think I was actually sick and I was trying to do work or something, and she was just like to me, okay, she was like, how do you treat your staff? Is what she's completely 180 the conversation. I was like, oh, like, what do you mean? It's like, right, one of your staff rings you and they're sick, what do you say? And I was like, oh, like, yeah, look after yourself, anything I do, blah, 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 take the day off, work myself, like, whatever. And she was like, yeah, sweet. So treat yourself like you treat your staff. You're in the company, why wouldn't you? You're sick, stay home. You know what I mean? Because I think I was like, oh, I have to go and do this and blah, blah, blah. And it was very funny. It was just the whatever way she said it. You've had a couple of times like that, where you just say that one thing and you're like, whoa. It's like you and the whole team in TMP just have keys to our brains. And the more that we talk, you just go, boop, and then just open up the key, and we're just like, whoa, and it just opens, and it's like, oh, and we just kind of understand the situation a little bit more. But yeah, that was incredible with Charlotte. And then also just to touch off what you were saying, is giving myself that love, because I've been, as an ambitious person, especially with social media, is quite bad for it too. You know, work hard, you know, work on Sundays, get ahead of the week, blah blah blah, stuff like that. It's like, no, it's like rest is just as important as recovery. The car analogy you have is incredible. I keep that at the front of my brain at all times. The car analogy is incredible. Anyone that has never heard it before, you describe life as a car, and you know, you have a nice car, you wouldn't be driving it and run out of petrol and keep driving it. You'd stop over, you get some petrol, you drive back out. You wouldn't start trying to rev the thing in second gear. If you're a little sick, you're not going to try and work as you would if you were in fourth gear. So that analogy is pretty cool to be, because it makes so much sense. You know, make sure your sleep is good, make sure your nutrition is good. Don't be driving when you have no petrol. It's that's an incredible analogy. I love that analogy.
Yeah, and then the driver's full of doubt and fears, and he has to be clear on the destination. Otherwise, he's just sort of driving around in circles, and sometimes he gets a little afraid and intimidated. So he needs to work on himself to overcome those fears and move forward. Because without the driver, the car's not going anywhere. So the driver is about emotion management and being the individual. At the same time, the car is
the body,
the physical side. It's the body and looking after that. And it sounds so simple, but, you know, drinking enough water, eating enough. I mean, like, one thing that I always ask my clients when they come to me and like, Ciaran, I'm spinning out and I'm emotional and I'm anxious and I'm distracted and I'm all over the place. Before I go into any of the emotion management or the potential limiting beliefs and insecurities that are coming up, I say, right, just check in with me on a scale of 1 to 10. How's your food? How's your sleep? How's your training? How's your nutrition? How's your hydration? And if everything's below a 7, right, I say, okay, well, focus on those first, providing that, it's not a big contextual situation in business or in life, right? Just they're feeling off. I say, go and focus on those for the next 2 or 3 days, and then let's see if you still feel the same. And a lot of the time, it's just they forgot to look after themselves. They hoodwinked themselves that everything else in life is more important. And it sounds like you're now learning, I've got to look after the car.
It's like you were just saying that there was a couple of weeks, I think towards the end of last year, and I was like, Ciaran, this, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, oh, cool. And we had literally a 2-minute talk, and you're like, great. So you're not sleeping enough. You're not sticking to your routines. Your nutrition's gone to shit. You haven't trained in a month. What did you expect? That's another tattoo I'm going to get. What did you expect? I say that to people all the time. I say, I have a wise mentor. And he always says, when a situation happens, what did I expect? And I think it's just great for, in hindsight, not getting caught up on the thing, because the thing is never the thing. It's always bigger than that. And when you ask yourself, what did I expect? You start to kind of pattern back to the situations and the thought patterns that have led you to this outcome or situation or wherever it may be. Asking yourself, what did I expect? Like, for example, the situation at the cafe. It's like, what did I expect doing so much for these people all of the time and being so obsessed with them and saying they're the best things in the world? Something I'll never do again, but what did I expect? I had the blinkers on. Needed to clear the window, turn the blinkers off, and say, hold on, what's actually going on here? I knew for a month. I knew from the start something wasn't right, but I let love take over. Correct. The wrong type of love.
You didn't listen to your intuition.
No.
Your intuition was telling you something's off. We get this all the time. You get that feeling, something's off, and then we ignore it. We don't want to go into it because it's maybe I'm wrong or I'm not sure, but we'll have an innate intelligence within you and intuition that will help you figure out whether it's the right thing or whether it's the wrong thing. And it just sounds like you ignored that. And as you get older and more experienced, you'll learn to listen to it. You'll learn to lean into it. And you'll learn, I should listen to that.
I think one of the biggest things I've learned as well this year is that also not everyone needs to know your story. That you don't have anything to prove. And that's something that I've always known but learned is that everyone goes to sleep at night knowing their own truth. And you know what I mean? You can look whoever you want on social media. You can do this, do that, have all the bells and whistles. But you have to go to sleep at night knowing exactly the truth and who you are and the impact you have in the world and where you want to go and who you want to be. So one thing for me is that not everyone needs to know your story. I thought that it was a good thing, but not necessarily. It's nice. I'm a very open person. I'm filled with love. I want to talk to people and tell people, oh yeah, me too. You know what I mean? But one thing from working with you, I've become a lot more calloused. I became a lot more calculated. I think that drops into the seek to understand before being understood window, because now I'm just a lot more like a game of chess. Like any conversation that I have now, it's something that I've always wanted, but I'm really starting to come into it, is just sitting on things and observing and not speaking at all at first. Never ever speak first. Like when things have to be said or situations are happening, because to be honest, 90% of the time at home I'm having a laugh all the time. Like even with my staff, like we just have a laugh. Like, you know what I mean? It's great. I love my team. They're everything. They're the only thing I missed while I was away. And the best thing I've done with my life so far is create positive employment. Like I'm confident in saying everyone that works in our company loves it. And they're invested and they see the vision and they know where we want to take it. And I want them to be as involved as possible. But yeah, just becoming more calloused, and you know, not everything needs to be explained. You can kind of just sit on things, and sometimes things kind of fold for themselves. Situations kind of unfold for themselves, and you can just kind of sit and be like, you know, that's it.
Sometimes the hardest thing is doing nothing. Sometimes there's nothing to do. Yeah. And you've got to sit on your hands instead of doing the thing of, I've got to respond, I've got to react, I've got to say this.
Yeah.
You can just slow down, listen, look at the lay of the land. Is it what I really think, or is it not? And this is why having good mentors and good mates are really good, because you can run fast. Hey, here's how I see the world. I think my thinking is off. I think my take is off. How do you see things?
Yeah.
And that will then go, yeah, my thinking is off. Yeah, here's why I think your thinking's off. Oh, I never looked at it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best things from working with you too is you're very quick to call me out on my bullshit, and I really appreciate it, because you tell me things that I really don't want to hear in the moment, you know, but eventually I understand, and I know you're right. So for the specific situations that have happened with me, you'd say something. Maybe they were right. Maybe they have a point. Did you think about it that way? No, but they, you know, and I've done this, and it's like, well, sit on it. Maybe they have a point. Maybe you did do that. Maybe you shouldn't do that anymore. Maybe you should just learn from this. You know what I mean? It's taking from it. That's one of the biggest things I've learned from you, is just that pause. But it's very funny. I'm only after kind of understanding it from talking to you the last while. I've been working with you for a year. I've done all of the grunt work that you're talking about that TMP does. And like, I don't know, is it egotistical for me to say I am the end result? Well, maybe not the end result, but I am the result of the work that TMP does. Because everything I'm saying now, I'm so much more happier, I'm lighter, I feel more fulfilled and focused and confident. I have a great structure. I work, but I love myself, and I do things that I enjoy. I take keen days, and I also get more done. I really am a result of the work that you and TMP do, which is incredible. So all the things you're talking about are all the things people want. And I've put the work in for the last year. I've gone through it. So what's the one you have when you're going through hell, keep going? I'm going to get that tattooed on me. Yeah. That's going to be on my tombstone. It's going to be on my wedding cake. I love that saying. When you're walking through hell, keep going. And I did. And I came out the other side. And I guess you could say I'm a pretty good result of working with TMP. And
yeah,
I am the proof.
You've done some really good work.
I am the proof. I'm not the result. I'm just the proof.
But what I will say, from a place of love, is be careful, because the moment in life you think you've sussed it, life will go, no, you haven't, and then the rug gets pulled under you. But when you realise that's all a cosmic joke anyway, and you can learn to go, I fell for it. I thought I sussed it. And then next thing you know, you're on your ass, and you can learn to land on your ass and look up at the sky and go, this is quite funny. I thought I'd learnt this lesson, but I've learnt the lesson again and again and again. But yeah, the work that you've done is incredible, and yeah, you just seem lighter. You just seem lighter. You seem happier. You seem, your feet. You just seem a lot more grounded. You haven't stopped dreaming, which is very important. I don't want to beat the dreamer out of you, but at the same time, I want to put your feet on the floor, because if you can have your feet on the floor with your head in the clouds, then wow, you can really go and change the world. And I think that's what I see. But the work's never done, and as soon as you think you've sussed it, you'll learn there's another level. And there's another level, and there's another level. And as coaches, as mentors, we teach what we need to learn. So when we teach what we need to learn, and this is the mind-blowing thing about mentoring Ciaran, is he has the same name as me.
Yeah.
So I'm reinstilling the lessons that I have learned, and I still need to learn at higher levels when I'm speaking with you. Sometimes, I don't know if you see, I'm writing notes down when I'm mentoring you, because if you used to look at your notes, I type all of my client notes. All of my client notes, I type. And I take a lot of detail, because I like to understand the linguistics, the language patterns. I have a psychological algorithm where I'm looking at what the client is presenting, what's happening. So when I go back into my notes, I can always see, this is where the algorithm has changed in this person's mind. And to most people, they're probably quite encrypted, these notes, because they don't actually make logical sense to somebody that speaks English. But to me, in the way in which my mind works, I can look at any session that a client has, and I can see the session, the week, the month, the year-on-year progress. And that's really important for me to have that detail. But sometimes I get my pen out, and I'll write on a piece of paper. And then when I write on a piece of paper, what I'm writing is the advice I've given to you that I need to remind myself of. It's like, Ciaran, what did you expect? And then you go, he's hit me with that one again.
Yeah.
And then I write it down. And I go, I've hit myself with that one again,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and it's the same cosmic joke. You know, your philosophy of life is having a laugh. But when you learn that everything's a cosmic joke, it's all a cosmic joke. That everything in life, in the universe, it's all one big joke. And you can either feel laughed at, or you can laugh along and go, what am I like?
Yeah.
Stop taking yourself so seriously. That doesn't mean you don't perform. That doesn't mean you do the best at what you can. I'm not saying you just go, you just completely let yourself go and you have no standards. That's not what I'm saying. When you can learn to just relax a little bit, have a laugh, have a joke. Why would you not want a funnier, happier, lighter life than just one of just drudgery and misery and intensity, you know?
Big time, yeah. It's another big. As soon as you said what's the main thing you've learned, it's like where to start, because that's another thing, is not taking yourself so seriously. And then as well, you touched on it very briefly, is I learned that how important my words are. So even, for example, just there when I was saying I'm the end result of TMP, I was like, hold on, no, I'm the result. I was like, no, I'm not the result. I guess I'm just a little bit of proof, and I am. But no, I absolutely know that the work is not done, that life still goes on. It still is a constant path of self-correction, but also from the work that I've done with you and all the teachings I've done with you, and for the future that's set out. But it's never done. But the work that we've done and the situations I've been through allow me to move forward with more rhino skin. Another saying of yours, yeah, and a notepad that I have. But with more, just with more feathers in my cap. I don't know how to describe it. You just move forward. What's the word I'm looking for? You move forward more aware and happier and more conscious, and it's just more experiences and understandings. So if this thing's happen again, you go, oh, hold on, I've been here before. And it's just like a constant like backlog of like history in the back of your brain that's just constantly there. And you're just, I kind of forget my age sometimes, whereas I put so much pressure on myself. But I think I'm just gathering it all up. But I do understand and know and try to keep at the front of my brain that it's, my time could come any moment. And to just smile and wave as much as I can, for sure.
Smile and wave, boys.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
Yeah, that's it.
For sure.
That's it. Cool. Well, have you got anything you want to ask me? Because often in our formats, it's, Ciaran, what are you working on? What are the blockers? Where are you at? And you usually come to me with, I'm actually a little bit stuck here, or actually I think I'm all right. And I ask you a couple of questions. You're like, that happened again, or whatever. But often I don't really get to open up the floor to one of my clients to ask me some questions, whether that's about me or my story. Because when I could take my mentor out for dinner, I always ask him also, what are you investing in at the moment? What are you consulting? And what have you learned from that leader? What mistakes have they made? And I'm always curious in that area. Have you got anything you'd like to ask me or you'd love to learn about?
Off the top of my head, I never ask questions. There's something that people have said to me before, and I think it's because most of the time I just don't really like answering them. So I never really think of it. At the moment, I don't really think so. Like, I think if we sat down for longer and I could ask you about them sort of stuff, absolutely, like from a business perspective. But no, I don't think so.
I think there's a blind spot there for you. I don't like asking questions because I don't like answering questions. So here's where I think there's a potential blind spot. The question is often the answer. So the people that can ask the best questions are the ones that get the best answers. The ones that can ask the best questions get the best outcomes. So if you're somebody that doesn't like asking questions, and I think this is part of the seek first to understand before being understood thing that you're learning, but if you can learn to be armed with a set of dangerous questions, not dangerous insofar as anyone's going to get hurt, but questions that can cut through to levels of clarity that you've not seen before, that can unlock answers in areas that you need, you'll become a very, very powerful leader. So that's the thing I'd like you to go away and journal with and tinker with and toy. Why don't I like asking questions? Why don't I become more curious?
I think it's also something I've told myself. I do have these pattern of things that I've told myself, and that it takes time to kind of unfold and unravel. because I love talking about myself to you. I love answering questions to you because something always comes out of it. So maybe I was told that at some point, and it's just something I've always believed in. But what type of questions don't I like answering? Maybe it's only specific ones. Yeah, that's something to journal with. Wow.
Well, why don't you asking questions as well?
You know what I think it goes back to? It's the type of questions I don't like asking are like, what do you do for a living? All that stuff. Where did you go to college? That's something, like if I see something like that in a movie, it makes my skin crawl. I'm just like, oh, here we go. It's a competition of judgment, as kind of society kind of plays it out to be. I think that's what I don't like.
Yeah. Well, behind questions are stories. Behind stories are lessons and nuggets of gold. So I get that, because I don't like the surface level stuff. But maybe they're the wrong questions that you need to ask. Maybe it's other questions like, tell me, what lights you up? Well, you know what? I love boxing. When I see a really nice technical fighter, they're incredible. Tell me more about that. How did you get into boxing? Did you have any fights? Yeah, I had some fights too. And then you can, so just learning to be curious, that the question that you ask isn't necessarily an attack or a judgment. It can actually be a way of connecting with people, even with your team. Well, what guys up to this weekend? Up to anything fun? Yeah, actually, I'm going to do a church ceremony. A church ceremony? Cool. What do you do? Oh, I sing in my choir, and I love that. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea. Or like Jake, he's in my team. He's a football fan. He supports Portsmouth. So whenever we're chatting away and we connect before we go into the work stuff, how's Portsmouth getting on? Oh, mate, don't want to talk about it, And he gives it back to me about a little bit of Arsenal. We go back and forth, have a bit of a laugh, on we go. So behind questions is connection. And perhaps your fear of judgment around, I don't want to answer certain questions, is actually a way of you stopping you having connection with others and having connection with yourself. So I just want you to sit with that.
Yeah.
Because behind all of the best questions, people that ask the best questions will always get the best answers. And that's my job as a mentor, isn't to just tell you, do this. It is to ask the question that creates a level of change faster than you suffering by yourself.
Yeah.
Curious to see what comes up with that one.
Me too. Maybe getting a stamp later on.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, look, from my side, mate, you really inspire me, and I can just see the journey that you're on. It's not been easy, and like, this is why I do this stuff. This is why I work with young people, is that I believe that as coaches, mentors, business owners, as leaders, it's our responsibility to pass on to the younger generation. And some of you will say, well, no one gave me an opportunity. Well, if that's the case, then number one, ask yourself the question, how did you create that? And then number two, ask yourself, why not be the person that does that in that case? Because the mentors I got, I asked them to help me. And if I didn't learn early, I needed to ask for help, I would never be in the position I am today. I'd never have the level of calm and peace and fun and challenge and strive for my ability to deal with myself and deal with business if I hadn't asked myself those questions. If I hadn't raised my hand, it's in those moments where you have experienced operators that can go, is that really reality? Or are you looking at things a little differently? Is that really the right answer? Or have you considered focusing on this instead? That will really, really change the game. So, yeah, I'm really proud of you, mate. And I love helping. I love sharing. I love seeing you and your journey. And one day, you'll pass this on. And then one day, that guy or girl will pass this on. But I do think we have a responsibility as people to pass this stuff on. And I know some coaches in particular can become so financially focused that they forget why they got into what they do in the first place, which was to help people. And they don't make the time or the allowances to help people that need that help. And if we just look at what you've done, mate, like, you've grabbed it by both hands. Every bit of homework I set you, you do it. You're turn up to every call. You're there every week. You're asking me questions. You're following up, So you should be really proud of what you've overcome to get to this point. And now the roots are in the ground, That's why I give you the book with the tree. Now you can really start to shoot and grow. So yeah, here's the 2025, mate.
Amen. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll be here all day saying how much you've done for me, but yeah, it's pretty incredible just sitting in front of you right now. There's been a few pinch me moments as you've been talking. I'm just like, is he real? It's like you're just on a screen or something. I just need to like, hold on a second. Let me see if, yeah. But yeah, thank you. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm excited to see where we can take it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna fly, mate. You're gonna fly. Where can everyone find you?
On Instagram, we basically do everything soulfood_Dublin, and I have my own personal Instagram, Soul of Ciaran. We're going through a little bit of a rebrand at the moment as well, so there's a lot more to come. A little bit of secret news, no one really knows about that at the moment. So yeah, mainly Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn too. I don't post enough as I should, but yeah, Instagram mainly.
Cool. And is there anything that you want to share with the audience, with other TMP clients while you're here?
Not really. I don't know. Reach out if, I don't know, you heard something in this episode that you're curious about, or you're going through, or you think that, like, I don't see myself as different to anyone else, but maybe just the lessons or things that I have are just because I've made more mistakes and I've been forced to learn more than maybe you have. So if I can pass that on in any way, shape or form, if I'm after saying something, you said what happened here, I'm a bit of an open book, so please reach out. I'd absolutely be more than happy to talk to TMP clients. Anyone that listens to that podcast, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Yeah, if I can help out in any way. But no, yeah, that's about it, to be honest. I'd say.
If there was someone that's like, I've been meaning to reach out to TMP or to Ciaran for private coaching for a while, but I just haven't pulled the trigger yet, what would you say?
How could I put that into words? Can I look into the camera?
Hey, it's over there.
Right. This is not an ad. For 5 months, I had my best friend Emma tell me I needed to contact TMP. And I was like, oh yeah, life coaches, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Don't mind them. She was like, Ciaran, text them now. I was like, great, sweet. I text them. We had a call for a half an hour. I've been working with Ciaran for the last year. I would not be in the position. Well, I would, but I would not have gotten to the position I am with as much ease and as much clarity. No, I actually would not be the person I am today without Ciaran. I'm scared to think of the person I would be without working with Ciaran for the last year. What he's done for me has been nothing short of incredible for me and my personal growth and where I want to go. And he's even impacted the people around me. If I hadn't have done the work with Ciaran, I wouldn't have a full team of people that love working in an environment that they love and that has the fruits of the labor to be able to do such cool opportunities, to pay them well, to have great initiatives within the company. So it's really a ripple effect of working with you for the last the last year and the 5 months it took for me to reach out. So anyone thinking of it, I've actually heard a couple of people say to me, oh, I had this person text me and they're thinking about texting TMP and they just want to know a little bit more about it. If you want to know a little bit more about TMP, text TMP. It's very straightforward, you know what I mean? It is life-changing. You will not regret it. This is not an ad. I cannot recommend it enough. Genuinely, I struggle to put it into words, but the work that TMP does, if more people did it, the world would be such a better place. And I stand on that statement, honestly. It's incredible. It's genuinely incredible what you do. So yeah, I'm just just curious as to what I did so much to deserve someone like you in my life, but I will be forever grateful and indebted to you. And if I can ever pass it on in any way, shape or form to anyone listening now or in the future, I 100% will. So yeah, that's about it.
Just about.
That's just about it.
Yeah, just like,
don't worry about it.
Well, look, Ciaran, mate, I'm infinitely proud of you. And just seeing, because you're evolving from a boy into a man and from just hustling into a leader. As you're growing your 2 companies and you're going after it, you're doing really, really incredible things, mate. And I know it's not been easy, but you chose this path. I always remind you chose this path.
What did I expect?
Yeah. But also, when good things happen, well, what did you expect?
Yeah.
Right? It's not just a negative question.
That's also true. I can enjoy the good times. I'll enjoy my last few nights in Dubai as well.
Yeah. Have a blast, mate.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Really appreciate it.
All right, team. Well, if you enjoyed that episode, then please do share it out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And we'll have another episode coming in soon. Big love.